tuned in to New Connection Radio, featuring new releases for conscious living. I'm your host, Vicki Thompson. Today I'd like to welcome to New Connection Radio Madeleine Walker, who is the creator of Animal Whispers Empowerment Cards. Madeleine, welcome to New Connection Radio.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. Good morning to you in the U.S. It's afternoon in the U.K. for me.
Yes, well, I'm glad we could have this time together. And, we've spoken before because you've written, many books about animal communication because you have the gift of being able to communicate with animals. How did the animal kingdom inspire you to create the Animal Whispers cards?
Well, I was getting so many beautiful, loving, healing messages from the animals, and the common denominator seems to be about re-empowerment, about really helping humankind to be all that they are so that they can really start to heal themselves and therefore work with the animals to start working to help the planet. So it was the domestic animals were giving me messages for their human carers on like a personal level, but the wild species were seemingly sort of very in tune with the rhythms and the needs of the planet. So it seemed to be that they wanted to re-empower us on a personal level, but also on a global level, so that we could really start reconnecting ourselves to the natural world.
Well, it's a 44-card deck, and it's really beautifully illustrated, and it includes many different animals. How would you suggest using the cards in a spiritual practice?
Well, I wanted to make them as accessible to everyone as I possibly could, so there's such a diverse range of creatures included in there. Actually, it was very hard to choose just 44 because there were so many animals wanting to come in and help. But I wanted to include domestic pets like the dog and the cat. We've got an insect, we've got the fly, we've got the horse, we've got African wild animals, we've got marine creatures, birds, all sorts, so that hopefully there's something in there for everyone really to resonate with. So you can just put, you could pick a card just on a daily basis for some inspiration and a little confidence boost. Or there are different spreads that I wanted to make quite unique to this particular set of cards. So there's a spread where you can pick a card for each chakra, each energy center in your body, and just see what the animal message is that might resonate with, say, perhaps your solar plexus, which is the seat of your self-worth, or not maybe. And so if you get a lovely strong card there, it will be giving you a lovely boost in that area to maybe help you access more self-belief, etc. So the cards can work on many different levels, and there are other individual spreads that you can maybe just pick one for yourself and one for your partner, so you can see perhaps what the dynamics are between the two of you. So that can be quite revealing.
Yeah, it's amazing. With the 44 cards, there are so many different animals. Can you share a moving experience you had in working with a particular animal to create a card?
Well, pretty much all of them were fairly moving, and many of the images, they're sort of enhanced photographs that Richard Crooks, the wonderful illustrator, has just made into these visual delights, really. I'm so lucky to be able to work with him. But many of the photographs of the actual animal that I connected with, I actually physically met or physically swam with, like the whales and the dolphins and the manta ray. And it's so lovely that I had this great guy called Sandy who was able to take underwater photographs for me so that we can actually share the energy of that particular creature that gave me the message. So I wanted to encapsulate all that energy into the card images. I think that there's so many amazing stories, but I wanted to maybe focus on the horse card. That image of that horse was of a client of mine who was suffering with very severe bone cancer. And she'd gone through so many healing techniques and conventional methods of trying to heal her. And I felt that horse had overcome so many of her traumas and fears that she had really come to this lady to help her. And the message on the card is to take up the reins of your life. It's not be led and give away your power. It's about reclaiming your power and literally taking up the reins. And I feel that this horse enabled and re-empowered this wonderful woman to heal herself. And they're now having the most amazing relationship. The lady is in remission. She's very strong. She's very happy, very powerful, and they just have so much love for each other. And I just felt it was such a wonderful opportunity to share that image of that beautiful horse and her message.
Well, that is a beautiful message. And there's so many opportunities within there to work with wild animals as well as domestic animals, including cats and dogs. So what do our beloved companions want to tell us and teach us through the cards?
Well, the cat is all about listening to your needs of your body and actually giving yourself permission to have rest. When your body is telling you to rest, you need to listen to your body and allow yourself to rest when you need to. I mean, cats, great and small, are fantastic hunters, but they're also masters at the art of relaxation. So many of the lions that I actually connected with, nearly all the time that I went to be near a lion, they were nearly always asleep because they'd been busy hunting all night and they had big full bellies and they were just sleeping it all off. But they could still communicate with me, and the same with our domestic cats, mine in particular, and one of the image of the cat is actually of my cat.
Oh.
And very often, they're out hunting all night, and I go out in the morning and they're asleep on either my bed or my son's bed, and I come back and they're still asleep on the bed, and I often joke and say, oh, you're having a really hard day at the office, are you? Because they're still there asleep. And I think to myself, next time I come back, I'm going to come back as a loved family cat, because I think they have a pretty good life. And the dogs teach us about letting go of guilt, of freeing ourselves from guilt. I had a lovely dog who passed over, and her message for us was about allowing ourselves to forgive ourselves and to release the awful restriction and limitation that guilt eats away at us, and it proves no purpose except to drain our energy and hold us back. So the message from the dog is all about letting go of guilt, because if we can forgive ourselves and free ourselves, we're so much more empowered and able to do more healing work for ourselves and for others.
That is a wonderful message, and we're so blessed to have cats and dogs in our lives.
Absolutely.
You also have the buffalo card, which is such a strong and powerful image. If you drew that card, how would you work with it?
That's about really freeing yourself up. I'm just going to actually look at the expanded message, because I've written the booklet that accompanies with them, the cards, and it expands and gives more information. So the message from the buffalo was to run free and wild. Don't let others impose limitations on your dreams, but instead be all that you are. Reclaim your magnificence. If you never imagined doing anything, how can you create a fabulous reality for yourself? Let your imagination run wild and dare to create all that waits to materialize into your life now. Look deep into the eye of the buffalo as I did, and allow him to guide you to freedom. Yeah, meeting that buffalo was very special. I actually met him in France. He was on a farm where they bred buffalo for meat, but he had so much power. He was a huge bull, and the image on the card is of that particular bull, and his eye was so powerful, and I just felt myself being lost looking into his eye, and that's when I got that message. So it's a very powerful, beautiful card to connect with, as are all of them, really. I think they're all very powerful in their own way.
Well, you had the very powerful buffalo card, and then you also include the very tiny fly in the deck as well. So what does the simple insect as the fly had to tell us?
Well, it's just, I think, more proof that you should never underestimate the wisdom of any creature. Any animal or creature can give us a message if we just opened our minds and our hearts. And I was sitting in the garden one day, and this humble housefly just landed on my arm, and I wasn't going to squish it, but it tickles a bit, so I was going to maybe just gently brush it away. And then it seemed to be just stomping around and looking at me very intently. So I thought, oh, hello, have you got something to say to me? And I got this beautiful message, which was very profound and very appropriate for me, because what it said was, you have such a big heart for everyone and everything else, but why don't you let yourself in? And I thought, oh my gosh, that's so true and so important for me to hear, because I had been rushing around trying to help everybody else, and I really wasn't looking after myself or loving myself. And so the fly seemed to just look at me with all its eyes and stomp around a bit more, as though to say, did you get it? Did you hear me? Did you understand it? And I had to say, yes, thank you very much. And then it just flew off. And it was just so amazing, because I was quite shocked that such a tiny creature could give me such a incredibly profound and important message that I really needed to hear at that moment in time. So it just proves to me that, you can get a message, a very important message, from a humble housefly to a humpback whale. Doesn't matter at all. All these creatures are just so incredible.
Well, wonderful. Well, Madeleine, thank you so much for sharing your gift and sharing the messages of our animals.
Thank you so much for letting me share them with you and for getting the message out there to tell people about them, because I feel it's really important. It's like a duty I have to the animals to help them help us.
Join us next time on New Connection Radio, your source for conscious living.